Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Canaveral Port Authority Board of Commissioners meeting. I would ask everybody to stand, and I'm going to lead Commissioner Carroll to lead us in a pledge.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At this time, I'd like to recognize the port ambassadors that are here. So when I call your name, if you would please stand so that we could see who you are. Mike Mervis, Bob Sachs, Janice Scott. Robbie Roberts, Bob Sachs, and Mike Grittel, who I butcher his name every time. Thank you. We appreciate everything that you ambassadors do for the Port Authority. First item on the agenda is approval of the agenda today.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Motion approved the agenda. The next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes of our workshop on March 24th, 2026.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Next is approval of the commission meeting on March 25th, 2026.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, these minutes are approved. Next item is personal appearances and presentations. Representing the Helm students, Raquel Mooney. Raquel, thanks for being with us.
Thank you. Good morning, Captain Murray and Commissioners. My name is Raquel Mooney. I'm the Human Resource Manager here at the Port, and I'm happy to introduce the Rockledge High School Helm Program Instructor, Anthony Garcia. He's brought along 3 students with him. They will go over a presentation regarding their Helm experience in their program at their high school. I just wanted to touch on that the Port has been supportive of the Helm program along with the Propeller Club and the local affiliates here at the Port. Without further ado, Anthony, if you could come up to the podium, please.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Hi, good morning, and thank you for having us today. Ladies and gentlemen of the Port Commission, esteemed guests and colleagues, I'm Anthony Garcia Sanchez, and it is truly an honor to stand before you and to share the work of our students in the Maritime program. This program represents not only technical learning, but also the relationships, mentorship, and real-world experience that help shape our students into future professionals. Over the last 3 to 4 years, these students have dedicated themselves to learning about an industry that is vital to our community and our economy. Through hands-on experiences, partnerships, and guidance from professionals like many of you in this room, they have developed both knowledge and a strong sense of purpose. I've only been with these students for a short few months, but I was surprised to see how many of them are truly dedicated and excited to join the maritime industry. I feel very inspired by them and the work they are putting in for their futures. I wanted to shout out Rich Grimison from the Propeller Club Education Committee, who has helped me tremendously with running the program, coordinating guest speakers, and teaching students how to use the ship simulators in classroom. I would not have been able to be a successful maritime teacher without his help. The students you are about to hear from have committed years to this program. They have challenged themselves, grown in confidence, and begun to define their paths within the maritime industry and beyond. At this time, I would like to introduce our Helm seniors who have completed at least 3 years in the program and are now preparing to take their next steps.
Good morning, I'm Aubrey Burry. I will be attending Maine Maritime Academy.
Great.
Good morning. My name is Adam Loyak. I will be working part-time at the Port while attending EFSC.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Richard Harris, and I will be trying to weld for the port one day, hopefully, you know. So, thank you.
Okay, so this is our Maritime 1 students. They are taking the boat tours, just seeing all the cars, or cargo and cruise terminals. And I went on this one, and I had a lot of fun with this one, especially with on the boat. Felt so good. And then I'm just really proud to be in this. But thank you.
He dropped something.
Okay. So in this picture, we see on the left-hand side, those are our Helm students with Rich Grimmerson, how to use a ship simulator in the classroom. Having the simulator is honestly a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun seeing how a ship operates with the proper controls and the screen and displays and all that. And on the right, that's us actually on a cruise ship, like learning how everything works, and the captain explaining how the controls work and how they communicate with the engine room. And yeah, thank you.
All right, so I want to say some things about our program. It started here originally in 2015, so a few years ago. It's the only school in Brevard to offer the program, which is pretty cool. There are currently 107 students enrolled in the program, with 36 enrolled in 3 and 4. 14 students had passed their CLA and CLT and earned their certificates in shipping and logistics. 5 students will be joining maritime-related fields after graduation. 1 student attending the Massachusetts Maritime Academy. 1 student attending the Maine Maritime Academy. And 2 students joining the U.S. Navy. And 2 students are pursuing a degree in maritime-related fields.
The topics we covered in our program are the Bridge Resource Management Simulators. I really liked that one. When I went and visited my school up in Maine, I told them about our program, and they were really surprised to even hear that we had the simulator at all. Career skills, we have resumes, interviews, and then cover letters. And then for maritime terminology and basic skills, which is vessel identification, navigation, safety, security practices, and then knot tying, which I did that my freshman year, and I really liked it. Our history in the maritime industry, maritime-related post-secondary opportunities, ocean engineering, port and terminal operations, ship security, marine biology, cruise industries, sea perch underwater ROVs. Did that my freshman year, super fun. We had a whole race about it in our pool at the school. We did a Coast Guard. I know we did a few field trips to the Coast Guard base. And then boater safety course, I know we did that last year. And then career mentoring, job shadowing, which I will hopefully get to be able to do job shadowing with Rich. And then field trips, and then on-the-job training and guest speakers.
So if you all were here very recently, you know that we were at the Port Authority Career Panel. It was really fun. We learned a whole lot of stuff. We learned about the different industries, like construction and all the different industries that we have at the port. We were very lucky to have different people from the Port Authority come speak to us, and we learned a lot. And yeah.
Thank you guys so much for having us.
Well, thank you guys for going and sharing with us. And Anthony, thank you for bringing them in. Hopefully you will continue with the program, Anthony, and all of y'all in the maritime field will do everything that you wanted to. Good experience. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
An item that I would like to discuss at this time, we've heard the success of the Helm program and how well it's done since it was started in 2015. We also have had in the past the Junior Ambassador Program. Last year, there were 12 students from 7 high schools and 1 homeschool that were involved in our Junior Ambassador Program. In that program, all the commissioners did have an opportunity to speak to the ambassadors, talking about the port and what all goes on at the port. And even more important, besides commissioners being involved, many of the port partners helped with lunches, tours for the port ambassadors. The focus included military, Coast Guard, harbor masters. Rich Grimmonson was very busy doing all that. Environment, recreation, cargo, the Brevard Sheriff's Department, dogs, fire rescue, commercial fishing, space construction, engineering, hospitality crews, and maybe along the way there was some welding demonstration that you thought maybe you would like to do some welding at the port. And the ambassadors, Jessica Maxwell and Bob Sox, our ambassadors were very well assisted greatly in that program. The matter has been discussed. I would like to entertain a motion that we continue the Junior Ambassadors Program for the 26-27 school year.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Okay. Thank you. It is a great program, outreach to the community and the students of Brevard County. Moving on down, reports. CEO report, Captain Murray.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm going to be brief today because we want to get out of here early. There's a Falcon Heavy launch at 10:13.
Oh, I
Still
thought we
on
were
for
going to
this
hold the
morning
meeting
with-
so we would.
With 2 boosters coming back to land.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's one of those exciting launches. So I don't want to be the one that holds it up for everyone. Okay, jumping right in. Numbers have been good, 602 calls. So this is through March 31st. 4.9 million multi-day passengers. We're ahead of where we were last year, so everything's tracking well. Seasonal ship changes. The Seashore returned from dry dock on April 19th. The Carnival Glory returned on April 24th from dry dock as well. Caribbean Princess arrives for the summer season starting on May 11th. And the Carnival Venetia's final call is May 17th. That was a seasonal winter ship for Carnival. We attended the Sea Trade Cruise Global event on April 13th to the 16th. We had, that's a photo of our booth in the background. It was a great event. A lot of discussion with the cruise lines, and everybody wants 2 or 3 more berths at Port Canaveral. So it's an exciting time in the industry, I have to say. So it was a good event, good meetings. On the cargo side, 379 through March, 379 ship calls, 3 million tons. Space component recoveries with SpaceX, 39 boosters, 84 fairings. Blue Origin, 1 booster. Remember, this is through March 31st. The second one has arrived since then. We also had a state of Florida trade mission to Brazil with the on April 14th and 17th. Samantha Cornelius and George Aroja did that trip for us, represented the port with the state. Joined 18 delegates from state of Florida and other industry and port partners. Instructure, also our port partner here in Port Canaveral, was also in attendance. Business meetings with Department of Commerce, Consulate General, others in Brazil. But the big thing for us is following up with Embraer, who has a operation in Melbourne. It's their manufacturing facility in the U.S., and we've been trying to work with them on their foreign trade zone activation discussions, and there was some good conversation there and subsequent meetings coming up as a result of that trip. So it was a successful mission. In communications, we had a lot of media engagement on NASA's Artemis II launch on April 1st. We had 15 local and national and international media accommodated at Jetty Park. Live coverage, segment reporting before, during, and after the event. 327 media mentions, 78 million total impressions. And the on-site media included international BBC, which is great, ITV, both British television. We had CNN, all those other standards, and of course, our 9 local affiliates. So it was a great event, successful launch. On the government relations update, we've had the U.S. Space Coast EDC Roundtable discussion March 20th that was led by Senator Mayfield for EDC regarding prior discussions of status of Regional Advanced Wastewater Treatment Facility that's up on the Space Force NASA and issues, and that's been bubbling up on wastewater disposal up in the Space Force area. We also did select Florida Gateways Advisory Council Board March 25th. Select Florida is one of the promotional agencies of Department of Commerce in the state of Florida now, and we're part of that, those discussions. They did the legislative wrap-up as well. We had a joint military attaché program. As you know, we've been doing this for years. On March 30th, we had 55 military officers come through the port. We also had Florida Transportation Commissioners Tour and Briefing, March 31st. It's governor-appointed commissioners with stops at Canaveral and Space, Florida. Transportation Commission is sets transportation policy at the executive office level, Florida. We also had an introductory port briefing for new CBP port director in Orlando, April 2nd. He came here, but he's the area port director that controls Port Canaveral. We had the SLD 45 command briefing and port tour on April 7th. Colonel Chapman, commander, was here with his leadership team. We did a port briefing, discussion topics at the request of Colonel Chapman, and the role the port plays in military national security partner linkages, how we have BCSO, Coast Guard, Note 2, SLD 45, and how we all interact with one another at various times. We also talked about counter responsibilities for drones response, disaster response, security operations. It was a good discussion. We were going to do a port tour, but the weather was too bad, so we got to spend an extra hour in the conference room, which was well-used time. We also attended a public safety roundtable hosted by Sheriff Wayne Ivey and Congressman Byron Donalds on April 7th. We participated in the discussion, highlighted unauthorized drone flights over Florida seaports, continued that discussion. As you know, and I've briefed you all, that we have no restrictions anywhere in the United States on drones flying over seaports, which is designated critical infrastructure, but it's something controlled by the Federal Aviation Authority. They've been charged with writing rules since 2016 regulation. They haven't done it, but they're starting to get there now, and we're very active in pursuing whatever means we can to segregate seaports as a strategic location that should not have drones flying over without any sort of prior authorization. So we'll be having more on that in the subsequent meeting. On recreation events, Jetty Park Campground, 95% is pretty good for this time of year. Vehicle count, 522, total count, 16,000 for the month. We're open for 5 of 8 launches. And the day park capacity was reached twice. Obviously, Artemis contributed to that. Supported events, we had St. Patrick's Day, Employee Appreciation Food Truck, and an Employee Appreciation and a Family Fishing event. On community engagement, we've done quite a few things. We've got the Rockledge High Helm program, and we have the students here today. Just some items that they toured the cargo ops, the cruise, boat rides, visited the cruise ship, Maritime Center. It was a great season for them, a great year, and I think it was great to hear from them this morning. On the environmental stewardship side, we've got Keep Brevard Beautiful Trash Bash was on April 11th. We are the port primary sponsor of 4 events, 100,000 pounds of debris collected by 900 volunteers across 40 locations. We also had the Sea Turtle Preservation Society Celebration fundraiser on March 21st. The port sponsored that. There were 298 attendees, and they raised $35,000 for conservation and education programs. Also, we had port sponsorships for the Canaveral Port Ministry Gala on March 5th. The event raised $177,000, supporting 120,000 seafarers. It's their annual event, so that was a pretty good take for them this year. We had Lead Brevard 4 Under 40 Gala on February 13th. That event raised $118,000 for scholarships. Commissioner Lloyd presented the Leadership Icon Award to Bino Campanini. And we had the Brevard Corporate 5K on April 9th. That's held every year at the Melbourne-Orlando Airport. 25 CPA employees, that number is increasing every year, participated to raise funds for Running Zone charity, and our team placed 10th in their category. I think there were, how many entries? 10 is good, bad? I don't know, I see some heads shaking out there. Okay, we won't dwell on that. Okay. And that's my report. I got one more thing I want to say, is that Amanda, who's been running our HR department, Brailsford Urbina, is going to be retiring next week. She's not here today, but I did want to call her out. I believe she is going to be about 3 weeks shy of 10 years here at the port.
Wow.
So she's been a very integral part of everything we've done in the last 10 years and building a new team here at the port. And just want to say thank you publicly to her and everything she's done. So.
And we as commissioners thank her for the job that she has done as part of the team making Port Canaveral what it is today, along with you.
Thank you. I appreciate everything she's done. And if you start to notice, people are starting to wear their lapel pins that say how many years they've been here. So that's a new feature at the port. You didn't have too much of that when I first got here. So we're happy with the way things have gone over the years. So thank you, Amanda. And any questions?
Can we get one of those lapel pins for Jerry?
You know, we have one being made, but gold is at a high price right now, so we're waiting for the price to adjust a little bit before we say yes on the order.
And they'll
you.
give it to me just when I leave and I won't have any reason to wear it again. So, I'd like to get it ahead of time. Okay, next, consideration approving the financial memo. Jeff Long, CFO, is going to tell us how wonderful the finances are.
Good morning, Commissioners, Mr. Beislein and Captain Murray. I am pleased to review our 6-month results for fiscal year 26. So we have completed and closed out through our second quarter through March. So let's get right into the numbers. The first slide I'm going to show here is a year-to-date slide that shows our revenues, expenses, and operating income compared to our budget for the 6 months. So as you can see, our operating revenues came in at $128.5 million, which was about $4.3 million ahead of our budget for the 6 months. So we were up a little over 3% favorable variance to budget. Now the majority, in fact, all of that increase, that favorable variance, is related to our increased cruise activity as compared to budget, partially offset by a little bit of softening in our cargo area. So we're doing very well from a revenue perspective. From an operating expense perspective, we're also doing very well. For the 6 months, we actually are under budget by about $4.3 million, or about 5%. But I will say that I estimate this variance is entirely related to timing, meaning the second half of the year we'll start to have some of the timing normalize, and I do expect us to be over budget on the second half of the year. But we will continue, and we always manage to our full year budget for operating expenses. So the result of our operating revenues and operating expenses and the variances result in our operating income of nearly $53 million for the 6 months. So very impressive numbers. Again, $8.6 million favorable as compared to budget, which half of that obviously is from operating revenue exceeding budget, and the other half because operating expenses came in under budget. But what I want to also point out is how strong our margins have been through the first 6 months of the year. So our operating margin, the way we calculate that, we take our operating income divided by operating revenue. And it's a great indication of how efficient we are with our revenue and how we are managing our expenses. And as you can see, compared to budget, we are doing quite well from a margin perspective. So better than budget because of those favorable variances. Now the next slide I'm going to show you takes a look at our 6 months actual results compared to where we were this time last year. So compared to through March of fiscal year 25. And what we see from an operating standpoint is very impressive. We are actually up 15% or $16.8 million ahead of where we were just 1 year ago. So very impressive growth. And as you can predict, that growth is related to our increased cruise activity, cruise calls and passengers that we've moved here through the port. From an operating expense standpoint, through March, our operating expenses are actually up about $8.7 million compared to where we were last year. But this was absolutely planned. If you recall, when I presented the fiscal year 26 budget back in August, I mentioned that we were going to be investing in our people, in our facilities, and in our operational capabilities. And that's exactly what has happened. So of that variance of $8.7 million, about 38% of that variance is related to investments we've made in our people. About 20% of that variance relates to investments we've made in our facility operations. And then another 20% of that variance relates to the operational capabilities that we have across the port that we've invested in. And then finally, the other 20% is an increase in depreciation because of the capital assets and the infrastructure investments that we've made. So although that variance is, we're up 10%, that's deliberate and it is definitely planned. From an operating income perspective, we're up about $8.1 million over where we were this time last year. So again, being very efficient with the revenues and managing the expenses that we have. Operating margin, which is something we pay very close attention to, as you can see, has actually improved. 40.1% this time last year, and now we're at 41.1%. So what that means, for every dollar of revenue that we bring in, after expenses, we have 41 cents to invest in infrastructure here at the port and to help us continue paying off our long-term debt and bonds. That's a good number. This pie chart shows our operating revenues and just the breakout. And as you can see, the top three lines represent our cruise. And cruise is a big part, obviously, of our operating revenue. In fact, it's 86% of our operating revenue through March, through the 6 months. Cargo, very important, very significant for us here as well. That's nearly 10% of our revenue. And then the other 5% of our revenue is broken out in other leases that we have outside of cargo leases, our recreation jetty park, and also ground transportation. The next couple of slides are cruise statistics. So as you can see, we moved about 4.9 million passengers through the port for the 6 months. That was up about 54,000 cruise passenger movements over this time, as compared to budget, I should say. As we compare the movements to where we were this time last year, we're up about 10%. So very impressive revenue cruise passenger movements. Our cruise calls, 603 for the 6 months, up 11% over where we were through the first 6 months of fiscal year 25. Taking a look at our cruise calls by our cruise line partners, you can see that Royal Caribbean and Carnival are nearly about 25% each. So in total, about half, a little over half of our cruise calls. Disney is significant as well. So the three of those represent about 3/4 of our cruise calls from our cruise partners, followed by MSC, NCL, and then other, which would represent Celebrity and Princess lines. Taking a look at our cruise passengers, this is a chart that I show each month. The first line represents per month how many cruise passenger movements we had in fiscal year 25. So you can see the chart there. And then the next line is our budget for fiscal year 26. And as you can see, we, for the first several months of the year, we budgeted for greater than what we had as far as movements compared to last year. March and April, as I've mentioned here before, we actually have 2 ships that have been in dry dock for refurbishment. The Carnival Glory and the MSC Seashore. So that is why we have budgeted lower cruise passenger movements in March, and also we'll see that in April. Both of those ships are back here at the port, so it was just for March and April. Then this next line is the actual cruise passenger movements that we've had, and you can see that it is right on the budget line. We're actually about 50,000 revenue cruise passengers above where our budget would have us be at this time. So thanks to Pat Poston, she works hard with our cruise business development team in projecting the passengers that we have based on the cruise schedules, et cetera. And we've got several years of data, and obviously with the cruise schedules, we budget that very, very tightly. We are on track to do probably 9.1 million passenger movements. Our budget is for 9 million. Of course, we did 8.6 million in fiscal year 25, which made us the busiest port in the world, cruise port. The next couple of slides discuss cargo statistics. You can see that through 6 months, we've moved about 3 million tons of cargo. It's exactly where we were this time last year. We've had 141 cargo calls, 102 space calls for the 6 months, and 136 other cargo calls. From a revenue perspective for the 6 months, we're at 11.8 million. That's broken down between cargo fees, dockage, wharfage, et cetera, and also the land leases that we have with our cargo partners. So we're about 11.8 million, about 400,000 or 500,000 below budget. I'll get into the more detailed numbers later in the slides, but cargo is doing very well for us. We're slightly below budget, but we are hopeful that we can make that up in the next 6 months. We've moved 3 million tons, which I've mentioned before. The majority, over half, is fuel, followed by forest products. Other operating revenues, I've mentioned this before. This is all our other, obviously, revenue besides cruise and cargo. So we've got $6.2 million in other revenues. We're slightly above budget and slightly ahead of where we were this time last year. So the first item, leases, the land leases outside of those cargo leases are $2.4 million for the 6 months. And you can see the green bar represents our actual compared to our budget. The blue bar, we are right on budget, actually a little bit ahead of budget. Recreation, jetty park, campground, et cetera, $2.2 million. That is right on budget as well, slightly ahead. And then miscellaneous ground transportation is the majority of this, and we're right on budget with miscellaneous revenue for the 6 months. Real quick, month of March, we came in very close to our operating revenue budget for the month. We were actually down about 100,000. Of course, we're favorable 4.3 million for the year. So right on budget, basically. Operating expenses slightly below budget. But very close to budget. The result is we had operating income for the month of March of 10.5 million, which was slightly above budget. So very close to budget for the month of March. Cruise statistics and cargo statistics for March, in line with what we obviously expected. Less calls because of those 2 ships being refurbished that I mentioned before. As well as less passengers than this time last year for the month of March. Cargo, we had 74 cargo calls and moved 436,000 tons. So looking at the detail for operating revenues just for the month of March, you can see our total operating revenues came in at 23.2 million, which was very close, 0.6% within budget. The driver of the unfavorable variance is a little bit of a softening in the cargo revenue line, offset by the cruise activity that was strong for the month. Taking a look at the monthly operating expenses, you can see that we came in at 12.7 million, which was about $300,000 favorable to budget. Again, we're favorable for the full year, but that is timing related. I think we'll be very close to our full year budget on operating expenses. For the 6 months, as I've mentioned before, our total revenues came in at 128.5 million, which is 4.3 million ahead of budget, driven, as you can see from the top 3 lines, cruise activity partially offset by cargo. So very, very solid, very impressive operating revenue numbers. Operating expenses below budget, as I've mentioned before, by 4.3 million. We are managing to the full year number, and I do believe that most of that, if not all of it, is timing related that we'll see normalize in the second half of our fiscal year. After we consider non-operating revenues and non-operating expenses, And considering our operating income, our addition to net position, so this is our bottom line that we use to invest back into the port, into the infrastructure of the port, and also to pay our debt payments, $51.9 million in just 6 months. And then finally, I haven't shown this slide in a couple of months, but now that we're at a quarter in, I wanted to bring this back and highlight the improvement of the margins that I've mentioned before. So on the far left is where we were for a full year, fiscal year 19, the last full year before COVID. And you can see our operating revenues were just slightly ahead of $50 million for the 6 months. After operating expenses, we made $9 million of operating income, so a margin of 17%. So in other words, for every dollar we brought in, we would make 17 cents of profit after our expenses. In fiscal year 24, you can see after a full year and us getting our stride back after the pandemic, we were nearly at 100 million and had operating income of 39 million, which was very impressive in and of itself, margin of 40.2%. We improved those numbers, had a record-breaking year last year. Revenues for the 6 months in fiscal year 25 were almost 112 million. Very solid, strong margins of 40%, and we made 44.8 million. But look at where we are in fiscal year 26. Just for the 6 months, we're already nearly at 130 million, and we've made nearly $53 million of operating income, and our margins have actually improved over the last couple of years and significantly improved, more than double as we look back several years ago to fiscal year 19. So we're having a solid year. We will continue to manage to our budget, to our numbers, and continue to make wise, strategic decisions here from a financial perspective. So any questions before I want to recognize a staff member of ours? Any questions on the?
Jeff, a glowing financial report. I mean, how can it get any better?
Well, we're trying. We're going to get it better.
Captain Murray and the team have done a great job year after year after year at where we are.
Yeah, and I've mentioned this before. This is years in the plan. These are contracts with our cruise partners, our cargo partners, leases that our real estate team, Craig and Mark Millicents, do from years ago. And we're seeing these numbers play out exactly like we strategically designed them over the years. All right, the last few months, a couple of the commissioners have mentioned how great the aging has been. So it's our accounts receivable aging. It shows what accounts are in the current category, what accounts are 30 days past due, 60 days past due, 90 days past due. And we work very hard trying to improve those numbers because the better we collect our receivables, the more cash we have to invest, et cetera. So I would like to highlight the fact that we've done very, very well with this aging report over the last several months. In fact, it's been 100% in current, which is pretty amazing. This past month, we actually had a dip of it's only 99.8% in current. So we put Narissa along on a performance improvement plan so we can get it back to 100%. But Narissa, do you want to stand up? Let's give her a hand. She works very hard on this aging. Thank you, Narissa.
Is she working with Sheriff Ivy on that same, is that the secret?
I'm not going to say. Any questions about the finances?
Chair would entertain a motion to accept the financial report that's been given by Jeff.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second?
Moved and seconded. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion passes. Next, Chair would entertain a motion to approve or accept the statistic reports, the aging, and I'm going to leave that up to you, Mr. Secretary. You want to, Treasurer, do those instead of
Well,
me.
yeah, actually, our treasurer is not here today, but I'll make the motion, to approve the statistical report, aging report, list of bills, as well as the list of disposals, legal bills, and Commissioner minor expenses for March of 2026.
Do we have a second?
Second that motion.
Discussion, all in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, thank you.
The pressure is
Bill
on.
Crow.
I feel it.
You got 3 minutes.
I know, exactly. So I'll be very brief. Want to highlight a couple of projects. Good morning, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. Going to start with highlighting item 1C. This is Cruise Terminal 10 expansion. So obviously we have a lot going on as far as infrastructure and building. This is the initial step, the initial phase for CT 10 expansion with PCL. And it is a initial purchase order of $6.3 million added to the $60,000 pre-construction contract that we have already underway with them. And I provide a brief breakdown here of the items that we are going to be including in this $6.3 million. A lot of them are upfront, early enabling projects, general requirements, temporary facilities that need to be set up, general conditions costs, which covers the contractor staff. The largest item is replacement of a very deteriorated waterside trench drain and certain utilities, electrical allowance for safing of circuits as we demo certain parts of the building. We need to reconnect areas. That's what this represents. Bonds, insurance, a contingency, and then the contractor's fee at 4.75%. Now, as we kick off one small piece, I want to show you what the overall picture is shaping up to be. And so we have this color-coded cost graphic that really shows where the overall budget's going to be spent. And we have a couple of options that total in a $72 or a $79 million budget. This $7 million western expansion is one of the items that we're still considering if that is truly needed. We were able to accommodate all of the luggage laydown needs identified by the program in the eastern expansion, so it brings into question what we need to do in this area. I also want to highlight that facilities, Steve Shelton and his group, they are replacing the CT8 and CT10 chiller. So it's going to be a combined chiller that services both campuses. And currently, I think the estimate is about $15 million, but I believe you guys have a meeting today at like 11 with Train. So more to come on that combined chiller, but that is included in the overall budget. And the only other caveat I would say here is just from the Customs and Border Protection CBP. We did include minimal improvements in the existing CBP area, but we are just starting to have those conversations with CBP. So there could be federal requirements that come out of those discussions that go beyond the budget numbers in the program that I have represented here today. Doors open for the expansion. There's still October of 2027 to welcome the World Atlantic, I believe, the World Atlantic from MSC. Rendering on the outside, very attractive terminal, very modern facade, and then on the inside as well. The other project I want to highlight is related to the future planned expansion of Cruise Terminal number 2. We have two subaqueous crossings. One is a comm duct line for the Air Force. The other is Chesapeake Utilities, Florida City Gas owned 8-inch gas main that goes under the harbor as well. So we've reached an agreement with Florida City Gas. This is a not to exceed $2.8 million allowance to redesign and relocate, i.e. deepen that 8-inch gas main from the south side of the port to the north side of the port. So this will continue to enable that future, post 2030 development, redevelopment, and expansion of CT2. The current depth is about 70 feet, as you see represented by this orange line here, and we're going to be deepening both the comm duct and the gas line to about 150 feet, and that requires us to revert back to the south and the north for the bore pit entry and exit pit as well, so it'll be much deeper. Those are the projects that I wanted to highlight. Bob Musser sent me a text just to give a shout out to Mike Zeiler, our Assistant General Counsel. He was the team anchor for the corporate 5K, placing 39th out of 1,600 people. 39th. So the overall corporate team placed 20th out of 70 corporate teams, and we placed 10th out of 25 teams of a similar size. I think 100 to 1,000 is roughly that gauge. So congrats to the team, captained by Bob Musser and co-captained by Leslie I believe, as well. And so congrats to Mike Zeiler and everybody.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you very much.
Good coach. Any questions for Bill before he sits down? You must not know. Okay, thank you. There's no public comment filed for the consent agenda, so next we'll consider the consent agenda. Starting with Commissioner Craig, do you have any consent items that you wish to pull?
I do not.
Okay. Fritz?
1D.
1D. Commissioner Lloyd?
I have none, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Then the chair would entertain a motion to approve consent items 1A, 1B, 1C, 1E, 1F, 1G, 2A, 3A, 3A and 3B, 4A, 4B, 4C, 4D, and 4E.
So moved.
Second.
Moved in second discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, approved. Okay, item 1D.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, and there's no reason for Bill to go over this, but to me, somebody will have to make the motion for this. It's just a little bit too rich for me personally, so I'll be a nay vote. So
Oh,
that's all I
okay.
have to say on this. So.
I think I can make a motion. I'll make a motion to approve consent item 1D.
Second.
Moved in second, a discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, item is
Nay.
approved. Moving right along to public comment. First person for public comment is Janice Scott.
Wow.
Can we stand?
After that report, I think Captain Murray needs to address the county and the municipalities in a workshop about how to run this budget. It's great. So thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to speak. Often, when you hear a despicable comment, you cannot dignify it with any response. And sometimes to be silent is deemed as approval. So I want, and I know many of us here are former employees of Disney, and shareholders. So Disney's been an icon in Florida, in Brevard, been part of our community for over 55 years, and has sailed from the port with the Disney Cruise Line since 1998. Many of us were taxed to build this port, and we really love it. It's beautiful. No complaints about that at all. But you should know that Disney also owns ABC Media. And last year, Kimmel was suspended for his scurrilous remarks concerning Charlie Kirk's murder. Why is he still on the air, inferring the death of President of the United States' wife as, I quote, "Mrs. Trump, you have a glow like an expectant widow"? How awful is that? That passes the pale of human decency. It's morbid. It's not humor. Please do not be silent. Call CEO Josh D'Amaro and tell him that political violence cannot be disguised as comedy. His number is 818-560-1000. Thank you.
Next is Teresa Miles.
I wasn't going to say anything at all,
But you signed a card, so you have to say something.
I guess I have to say something.
Okay.
I want to thank you all for voting no on the LNG. I know it's been a month, but it feels like months since I've seen you last. I'm sorry. But it was really nice and peaceful afterwards, and I just thank you for voting no, and I know there'll be pressure to come from others to take that land again or to lease it. But we really are still going to be like keeping our eyes open and hoping that you'll resist that pressure to do that and just keep it safe. It's your last, like you said, wonderful big asset that you have, and we want it safe. The other thing is, because of all this that's happened, my neighbors voted me unanimously the president of our homeowner association, even though I said no like 7 times. They just wrote my name there. So now that's happened. So I just wanted you to stand strong, and I know you said you wanted to see us here, so that's why I'm here. I don't know if you really meant it, but here I am. And I'm learning a lot. I just learned what a call was. So you said you had 603 of them. I had to Google it, but now I'm learning things, so thank you. Love you guys.
We look forward to seeing you in the future,
Okay.
Madam Chair. Thank you. That concludes the consent item, public discussion. Commissioner reports. Commissioner Lloyd.
Many of you have heard that I have joined the race for county commission. So stay tuned. I'm sure I'll be asking for campaign donations from many of you. But that's all.
Were you part of the 5K race with?
I did
was he
not
on your
run the
team,
5K.
Bill?
I wasn't either. I missed
Okay,
it
you
as well.
Okay.
Real quick, Mr. Chairman, the April 3rd, I had the pleasure of joining the Junior Ambassadors for a tour of the Wish. It's a great group, and I'm glad that we are continuing the program. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Craig?
Yep, nothing at this time.
Each year, we've attended the AAPA annual meeting. This year, the annual meeting for the American Association of Port Authorities is going to be meeting in New Orleans. And each year, we've approved the commissioners of legal counsel, Harold Beislein, to attend. So I would entertain a motion to authorize Harold Beislein to have the authority to attend the AAPA annual meeting, representing us at the October meeting.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Second?
Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. The meeting is going to be adjourned. Our next meeting is Wednesday, June 3rd. Meeting adjourned.